Good evening, everyone. My name is Robin Thomas. I'm from NexGen. And tonight we're going to have a discussion on purchasing a house and real estate investments. Tonight's guest speakers are Dana Long from Robinson and Associates and Damon Holland from Holland's Home Team. These speakers we have a list of questions that we're going to ask, and they'll provide us information. Please hold all your comments till after we're finished with the presentation, and we'll try to answer as many as possible. Thank you, Damon. Thank you, Dana. We're ready to start.
Hi, everybody.
Good evening, everybody. How everybody doing?
Okay, so tell us a little bit about you both.
Well, I've known Robin for some time, and I am newly minted retired from the military and from civil service. And my background is contracting and a contract negotiator. And of course, I retired from the United States Air Force. I am a business owner now and a proud grandmother of 2 grandsons.
For myself, I'm also retired Army. Nothing against you, Dana Air Force. You know, we go back and forth with that all the time. But Army all the way. Over 20 years of service and transportation and logistics. The whole time I stayed that throughout my military career. So that would have been a natural transition getting out of the military, but I chose to go a different way and become a realtor once I got out. Also getting ready to, I have started my team as far as real estate. So I'm definitely getting into different steps and going into the direction I plan on going into.
Thank you both. Okay, let's get down to the nitty gritty. Excuse me. What is financial wellness and why is it important? Damon, you go first.
Financial wellness to me, I would say, in my opinion, how I feel about it and what it is to me is to cut it short, not living paycheck to paycheck. Having a good structure, a good debt to income ratio where you're not down to your last dollar and counting the days to your next paycheck. We like I said, you have everything planned out, scheduled. You're not spending more than you make, and that wellness comes in with not worrying yourself, not stressing about bills and money. Where's the money going to come from? As they say, robbing Peter to pay Paul. So financial wellness to me is being able to set yourself up where you're not living paycheck to paycheck.
Okay, thank you. Dana?
Okay, ditto on that. So for me, financial wellness is effectively managing my economic life. I feel that if I am financially well, I'm going to be making better decisions, and I'm going to do things because I want to do it, not because I have to do it. That can be in your personal as well as your professional life.
Okay, thank you. Number 2, what got you interested in investing in real estate? Dana?
Oh, okay. Well, actually, it was by accident. I want to say in, I think the summer of 2019, I was working in my civil service job. So I was doing some research on historically underutilized business zones, or what people know as hub zones. So when I went into the Google search, it came up opportunity zones. Well, I didn't know anything about that. So I decided to do some more research. And I found out to participate in the program, I had to have capital gains. So capital gains could be stocks, it could be a sale of a business, or it could be real estate. So in doing some research on the program, I found out that the quickest way for me to put capital gains in a fund before December 31st of that year, I had to buy and sell a property. And during that time, I had less than 6 months to do it.
Wonderful. Damon, same
I would
question.
say, on my end, I would say it started high school. High school drafting, architectural drafting was something I always liked to do. Always loved doing it. I love designing homes. Homes is always in my mind for for some reason. But architectural drafting is something I've always been interested in. And on my way out the military, you talk to different people. One of the seniors told me, "Hey, do something that you love doing, something that you are interested in doing, and something that doesn't feel like when you get into it that you're actually working because you love to do it anyway." So, and then somebody else also told me, "Well, look into real estate." And then the real estate side, becoming a realtor, that came in. Um, Another reason why I got into that was something we're going to be talking about today: generational wealth. Being able to leave something for my daughters more than my parents are leaving me, pretty much. Being able to leave them a business, properties, or land, or whatever the case may be, when it's all said and done. But being able to give them something to be well off and get started on, and hopefully have a jump start on their life and their future and their kids.
Thank you both for those. Okay, what is a real estate investor and what are the education requirements? Damon.
Real estate investor, someone who goes out, buy and sell property, who is looking for the profit margin, pretty much looking for their ROI. You hear ROI all the time. That's a return on investment. That's their main. I won't say their main goal, but that's one of the big pictures for a real estate investor. It's the return on investment, the money they get back from their investment. So I would say that's one of the big things.
Is there an education requirement for it? For real
Education
estate?
requirement. I would definitely say yes. There are a lot of avenues. There are different lot of angles to it. There are a lot of different things that you need to know about it. That also comes with what we'll talk about later, having a good team. But you should definitely go out and research and get certified on certain things. Like Dana was talking about earlier, with the route she took, looking into the investing side of it and getting certified and this and that. So yeah, there are different requirements in it that can meet your goals. I would say make sure you understand your goals and what you're trying to do, what you want to reach, and then down that avenue, you'll definitely see certifications and stuff that you need.
Got it. Dana, same question for you. What is real estate and what is a real estate investor and what are the education requirements?
Okay, well, ditto again on what Damon said. So, what I did was after I purchased the home, after I purchased and sold the home and got the capital gain, I put it into an opportunity fund. So, for me, a real estate investor is someone who acquires property for the purpose of making a profit. So, a lot of times people think of their primary home or their vacation home as an investment, but in my opinion, if it's not making you a profit, then that's just your home. That's where you're going to live. So so I had to change my mindset from a homeowner for where I was living for my primary residence to actually going in and acquire it for the purposes of making a profit, hence the capital gain. Now, as far as the education requirements, as far as the Internal Revenue Service is concerned, there are different types of real estate investors. And my esteemed colleague, Damon, he has a set of educational requirements. And it depends on what type of investor you're going to be. Now, for me, I didn't need to have a formal education, but my team did.
Okay. All right. Thank you both. Do you need a license to buy or sell property? Dana.
I do not need a license to buy or sell a property. However, as I said before, it depends on the type of business that you have and the type of real estate investor that you are. So again, my esteemed colleague would be able to add to that.
Damon,
Yes,
same question.
absolutely. Again, it depends on your goals in real estate. Some people just want to be an investor. Some people want to become a realtor and do different things. So again, different your goals and what you want to achieve in it. It depends on the direction you want to go in. So on my side, like Dan said, yes, I did need a license. Yes, I did have to do certifications. We have every 2 years requirements and to renew our license. So there's a lot of things going my route as a realtor, but as an investor, you don't. But I would say your team definitely needs.
Gotcha. Okay. Do you have to be a business entity to invest in homes? Damon?
Okay, well, when I started with my, when I was telling you about, when I was looking up the opportunity zone and I wanted to have a capital gain. So what I did was I went out to look for properties as a person, as Dana Long. So I was going around and I was looking at the property. There was one that I saw that was in the opportunity zone, and there was another one that was not in the opportunity zone. And the significance of that is how you want to set up your business. So my intention was to take the money from the sale of the home and put it in the fund. So when I purchased my first investment property, and when I say investment property, I'm talking about a property that is not or has never been a primary residence. Now, it can be, but in this case, it wasn't. So I did it as a Dana Long sole proprietor. However, when I started the fund and started buying and selling properties, I actually did it as an LLC, limited liability company, and also as a limited partnership. Now, in my personal opinion, I would prefer to do it as a business entity outside of doing it personally or as a sole proprietorship.
Okay. Damon, you have anything to add?
She perfectly said it. She said it best. The LLC is what is the purpose of it is to add different layers and to separate you as a person from your business. So it does help me as a realtor. I could have practiced real estate as myself, but I set up an LLC so it can have its purpose and to act as a business because of the direction that I had already planned for myself and now the route I knew I wanted to go. So I had already set that up as an LLC because I knew I wanted to go that route. But you do not have to as far as real estate. You can get your license as you and operate as yourself and in real estate as a realtor.
Gotcha. Okay. What is the difference between residential, commercial, and industrial property? Dana?
Okay, well, I probably won't be able to say it as eloquently as Damon would because he's the professional. So, in my opinion, a residential building is houses, apartment buildings, or even the multi-story high rises that people live in. That's residential. And then if you're talking about a commercial building, you're talking about workplaces, offices, stores, hair salons, things that you would like a mall or a store.
Mhm.
Those are the structures that provide you goods and services. Now,
Right.
when you're talking about industrial, you're talking about your factory, your warehouse buildings, things that are used for industries. Now, we do have someone on our team that is a real estate agent, and she's actually working towards purchasing a property that is zoned for industrial use. So we actually run the full gamut.
Cool. Damon, anything else you want to add?
She hit on everything perfectly. Only thing I can add to it is the throw in there is the zoning also. Different properties are zoned for different things. Some properties are zoned for both residential and commercial. That's the only thing difference that I would add to what Dana said is where it's zoned at also.
Okay. So, Dana, do you work with a team?
Yes, ma'am, I do. And the team is growing every day. So, because I am a contract negotiator by profession, and I do have a background in construction contracts, as you do, I have teams of program managers, insurance professionals, because my properties need to be insured, as well as myself. Certified public accountants. I have a certified public accounting firm that reviews my paperwork. I have an attorney, a law firm that I work with, real estate professionals such as Damon and Darnell. And the good thing about having these real estate professionals is that they're also investors. So they can relate to some of the challenges that I may run into. So there's title company, there's stagers, and then I have a construction superintendent that pretty much takes care of the tradespeople.
Gotcha.
And I think that's pretty much, there may be more, but that's who I've worked with. And then I have an advisory team.
Okay. Damon, same question for you.
Do I work with the team? Initially, I did not. Getting into real estate initially, it was just me. Because I wanted to learn the business, learn as much as I can. But my goal was to definitely start a team, and I actually have started that as of this month. Actually, this
Congratulations.
month. Yeah, appreciate that. Thank you. We started out with one right now, and two are in class, getting ready to get their license. So yes, I am definitely building a team.
Outstanding. Have you purchased property before seeing it, Damon?
Have I purchased property before seeing it? On both sides, I talk about purchasing when I first home. I did not. We actually definitely seen it first. We went on different tours and showings, seen the house. So, me personally, I have not. Have I had clients who've purchased houses unseen? Yes, I have. I had clients coming from Chicago and moving here from Chicago. Of course, they wanted to get out of that weather. They were tired of the snow in Chicago, everything. So Somerville was their destination. Showing them properties. Only thing I can do was video chat, take pictures as much as possible. But they pretty much bought the property sight unseen, and they've been happy ever since. That was last year. That was definitely a different experience because I was worried about it too. What if they got here and didn't like it, and then of course, but it definitely all worked out. So that was a different experience.
Wonderful. Dana, what about you?
Okay, so when you asked me, did I purchase it before I saw it? So are you saying that I went to closing before seeing it? Or are you talking about before I signed the contract?
Let's go with before you signed the contract.
Before I signed okay. No. I have actually purchased a property to include closing that I had never seen until after closing. That was something new for me because now this is the thing. Whenever you do something like that, whether you put in an offer, sight unseen, so that was a good question. So you have to know that the real estate professional, now for me, and I can't speak for anyone else, I always have a real estate professional working with me that I trust. That's very important. So when I am looking at a property and I'm putting in an offer of something that I have not seen, I have to know that that real estate professional understands that I have to put certain things in place to protect not only myself, but my fund, and my fund is made up of investors. So I want to make sure I'm good stewards of the money and that I am responsible. So I have put in offers for property that I had never seen.
Okay.
And, you know, there's certain things, and I don't know if Damon's going to talk about it, there's certain things that you want to put in place to be able to do something like that. Now, the picture that you see of me is me actually signing a contract for a property I didn't see until after closing. And the real estate professional that worked with me on that property was Damon. The property I purchased was in another state, and it was before the lockdown. So this was new, and that the property that he told me about, and we didn't do a video chat or anything like that. We had seen multiple properties before we even got to that one. So that you can purchase property without seeing it, but you definitely want to be lockstep with your real estate professional to make sure that you're protected at all times.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you for that. Next one. Are there special areas of consideration, state regulation zones, location, etc., during this decision-making process? Do you look at other area? I mean, do you look at where the property is located in terms of, is it in a bad neighborhood or a good neighborhood? Do you take that into consideration when choosing to purchase?
When I'm looking at a property, and we've all worked on it before, the only quote bad for me would be one, it's not making money, or it has no there's no potential to make money in the near future, because that's what I'm supposed to do. It has to be in the opportunity zone. I have to be able to see that we'll be able to change it to make it better in the next 5 to 10 years. So when Damon was looking at properties for me and the other realtors were looking for property, we were making sure we didn't have situations where there were easement issues, whether there was projected construction in that area. So it's very important to be a part of your Chamber of Commerce, or be a part of the Chamber of Commerce that's in the area that you plan to do your investing in. That way you know the types of things that they're planning in that community. There's so many things, and Damon could probably talk about all of the things that he ran up against. But I can definitely tell you, Damon was the one that was going to the county, going to the city, looking at the plans. He was doing all of these things, and that's why I think it is so important to have those types of professionals on the team.
Damon, same question to you.
Absolutely. Dana hit it right on the head. Also, I would add in there too, as far as that investor, have your goal before you buy the property, or before you're going into it. Have your goal of what you want to do. Also, do you want to do it buy and hold it for a couple of years and rent it out, or do you immediately want to flip it and get that profit, that ROI? That is also a big consideration too, as far as area and zoning and different stuff like that. That falls into play also. So have in mind your goal, what you want to do. Either is it a long-term investment or short-term investment? That kind of pushes you in different directions also. So that's a good thing to add to it too. And like Dana said, I've had to get involved in different county meetings, different county budgeting meetings and planning meetings and zoning meetings, and all that is great information, good information. It gives me a lot of insight on what's upcoming too. There may be a property where one person doesn't see the potential because they probably don't know that it's going to be a bigger area here coming soon in the next 3-4 years because of what's being planned coming from the county. So that's a different way to leverage all that and have more information. You can leverage that information also.
Thank you. How How long do you have to own property before you can sell it, Damon?
You said me or Dana?
Damon, you.
Oh, okay. On that one, on that side of the house, I'm gonna definitely have to defer to Dana because the investing side of that question, I'm not really sure on because some hard money lenders are different. It depends on where you're borrowing the money from or where you're getting the money from. Whether you have investors, do you have hard money lenders? It's kind of different, and I would definitely defer that question to Dana.
Okay, Dana.
Okay. The question is, all right. So it all depends on your state, local regulations, because you can, and again, this you need to check to make sure you can do this. You can purchase a property, have it assigned to someone else, so that you, as an investor, you can actually go to closing, buy and sell on the very same day. You don't even have to step foot on the property. So again, it depends on the state, it depends on the county or city regulations. So it can be same day. If your purchaser is a is using a lender, the lender may have a requirement that the person that's selling the property, they have to hold it for at least 90 days. So that actually is a factor. And um, there's certain things like, for example, if it's a FHA or a VA loan from the buyer side, then there's consideration to where the house pretty much has to be move-in ready. Whereas if a person was purchasing it with cash or conventional or some other type of lender, that requirement may not be there. So that would kind of dictate, when I look at purchasing a home or purchasing a property, I'm looking to make the profit on the purchase, not necessarily on the sale. So hopefully I answered that question.
Actually, you answered it well. Thank you. Next question. How soon after you purchase land can you build or sell it?
Okay, is that me or Damon?
That's you.
Okay. Um, Basically, from the minute you become the owner at closing. However, and Damon, you can correct me if I'm wrong, there's nothing, you need to do your due diligence to make sure what type of structure you can put on that land. So it does not necessarily have to be residential, but you need to make sure that the property, the land that you're purchasing, you can use it for the purposes that you want to use it for. So I'm thinking you can do some preliminary work, but the actual feet, boots on the ground, if you will, it's done at closing. And so I'll defer it to my esteemed colleague, the gentleman from South Carolina.
So you are absolutely right. Only thing I would add to that is buying land is kind of like buying a house. There's different contingencies and different periods you can put in there to give yourself time to go to the zoning department and say, hey, can I build this on this land? Can I build that on that land? And just to check out the land as far as getting it tested to make sure you can put a septic tank in there, whether you need well or is it the city water. All that can be built into the contract to give yourself time to make sure you can do this stuff. So that's why I said it's kind of like residential where you have a due diligence period. It's called the same thing. But as far as land, you're going and check out all this stuff with the county. Is it connected to city water where you need a well, septic tank? What can you build on that property? And then a little bit deeper than that, when you go into different areas and different subdivisions, the houses have to be certain sizes also. Some may say no 2-story houses. Some may say your home has to be no less than, or it has to be more than 2,500 square feet. So there are a lot of different things that can be put in their contract as far as land also. Sometimes even more than buying residential.
All right. Thank you for that. How do you finance your projects? Damon, we're going to start with you.
On that, how to finance, there are two different ways. You have your hard money lenders, you have your banks, and you have investors also. Again, it depends on, I would say it depends on how much you're putting into it, how much you want as far as in return of it, of this project. It depends on a lot of different factors. I'm gonna definitely switch that to Dana. She can definitely get more in detail on that one. But I'm definitely saying investors, hard money lenders, and also banks can finance projects also.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Damon. Appreciate that. Well, okay. So to acquire the property, you don't necessarily have to have financing if you don't want to. So there's various ways that I've done it. I have used cash to purchase the property. And again, when you are looking at the project, you're looking at maximizing your profit. And so if you're dealing with finance companies, banks, and as Damon had talked about, hard money lenders, you're going to be you're going to be increasing your overhead because that's where you're going to be paying fees and points and those types of things. And the process is a little longer because if let me start with cash because that's the fastest way. So when you're dealing with cash, when you're buying a property or whether it be residential or what have you, they're going to ask you for what they call proof of funds. And this is no different than if you were buying it as a non-investor, if you were buying it for a place that you're going to be living, because they want to know, hey, this person is serious about acquiring this property. So if you're using cash, they're going to want, for anything, they're going to want proof of funds. So that actually would speed up the process and it'll definitely get the attention of the person that's selling the property. The other thing on that is that the process is a lot faster and you may be able to get some deals, if you will. If you were using a finance company or if you were using, what they call a hard money lender, they're going to have some requirements to where you may have to come out of pocket anyway. There's going to be contingencies as far as an inspection of the property. There may be one for an appraisal contingency. And basically, if you've got a lender, they don't want to pay more or leverage more than what it's going to cost. That property actually is worth. They want to be on the winning side. So they're going to want the person that's borrowing the money to basically have some skin in the game. The hard money lender that process is faster than if you went to a finance company, but I would say that you definitely want to make sure you have a very strong profit margin when you engage into that. The other thing is I use investors, and that is another way to fund a project that you're working on or projects. And I don't know if you want me to get into that. Did you want me to start going down that road or do you want me to wait?
You can wait.
Okay.
All right, we'll get to that. Okay, thank you. What are some of the requirements needed to ensure their investors that their money is safe? Dana?
Okay. So if you're going to use investors, now investors, now I'm not an attorney, so definitely talk to your attorney, or if you are working with a certified public accountant, talk to them too, because there's certain requirements when you're dealing with investors. Now, when you're dealing with investors, you should make it clear that whatever they're investing in can lose value. You can lose money. If you're guaranteeing anything, you're running into trouble. That's not something that you want to do. So you really, and I think that's what you asked me, to guarantee. What you can do is if you have a project and you want to entertain investors, then what you want to do is you want to have a business plan that actually outlines, number one, why they should even invest money with you or your project. Do you have the expertise to be able to pull this off? Because a lot of people, they're not going to invest with you to lose money. Now, any investor that's sophisticated knows that that can happen, that you can lose money. But what you don't want to do is, one, deal with an investor that's not sophisticated. And the Security and Exchange Commission does have rules on the type of investors that you should be dealing with. That's number one. So you should not be dealing with investors that are not sophisticated. You should definitely have something in writing that you can present to the investors to say, hey, this is how much I'm expecting for this particular project. This is what I'm expecting you to come to the table with. This is my expertise. This is the team that I'm going to be working with. And these are the projects. These are the projects. This is the progress that we're making. And this is the return on the investment that we project, that you can expect, that type of thing. And then also, which is most important, is you have to have an exit strategy. There's nothing worse, and I've seen this time and time again, where someone has passed away and nothing happens to the money. It has to go to court. And of course, that's overhead that the investors did not expect to pay. So I think, again, there's no guarantees, but if you're serious about this, make sure that you get it in writing, have an attorney review it, provide you with advice so that you don't run into trouble. Because best case scenario, you get sued. Worst case scenario, you could lose your freedom.
Thank you, Dana. Damon, you have anything to add?
Wow, she dropped the mic off that answer. I feel she could have went on for another 10 minutes with that answer. But only thing I can add to that is what we talked about earlier is having a great team, having people that you trust around you, people that understand your goal as an investor, what you're trying to do, what you're trying to get out of it, and that embodies your vision and what you're trying to do. So I would just say having a great team.
Okay. Damon, what do you find most challenging as a real estate investor?
The most challenging, I would say in the beginning. I would say as far as looking at in the beginning is kind of off of what I just said. Finding that team, finding the people that you trust, finding the people who has the knowledge and who can look at your vision and see what you're trying to do and actually go out and execute what you're trying to do. So I would say in the beginning of it is finding the people to work with that you trust and that you can go to and have that trust in.
Dana, for you?
Oh, I would definitely put an amen on that one. I think the most challenging thing for me, and you guys will probably get a good giggle out of this. So when I first came up with my great idea about having a opportunity zone fund, I went to Robin and I talked about it and I was all excited about it. And I said, oh yes, and I'm going to go ahead and get this capital gain so I can put money into this fund. And then I'm going to run around and tell everybody I know this wonderful thing that I'm doing, and that everybody looks at me like I'm a two-headed monster. So now I did get the attorney. They did give me all the scary rules about the Security and Exchange Commission and all this other wonderful stuff. So I was blessed to have a wonderful team because I think my very first Opportunity Zone project, it was my second investment, but it was in another state, and I was doing everything at a distance. So it can be done. You can buy property at a different state and not physically be there. So that is possible. So my biggest challenge was I was doing all this excitement. I bought three properties, and and at the top of my head, let's see, I think it was close to $900,000 worth of property. I did it in February 2020. Drop the mic on that one because you know what happened the following month.
I do. Okay, last question. Is there anything you would like us to know about investing in real estate that we haven't already discussed?
Let me start out. I
Either,
start out.
go ahead.
That you don't already know. Not sure, but I do want to go back to, I would say overall and sum it up as what I've been saying kind of all the way through, what we all been saying kind of all the way through is finding a good group of people to work with, finding a team that you trust, finding the experts in their field, and not trying to take on too much on yourself. Trying to do everything on your own, it gets confusing, it gets frustrating, it gets tiresome, and you pretty much burn yourself out. So definitely spread everything around. If you have a general contractor that you love and work with and you trust him to do what he does. If you have a CPA, trust them to do what they do, a realtor, all the way around. Spread it around and have a good team around you. I would definitely keep echoing that and keep saying that, because if you're out there trying to do it on your own, trying to buy properties, you're trying to remodel them, you're trying to rehab and renovate, you're trying to do all this stuff on your own, you're going to end up burning yourself out. And you're also you're trying to do all this stuff on your own because you think you're saving money, but you're actually burning yourself out also. You definitely need a good group of people around you.
Okay, thank you. Dana?
Yeah, definitely echo that. I think for me, the real estate, okay, this is how you know if you have a person on your team that's trustworthy. If they have something to lose by giving you bad advice. Realtors, no, and this is excluding present company and everybody on our team, but realtors are people. And I've dealt with realtors that don't return phone calls, that withhold vital information that you need to know to make a good decision. They will make decisions for you. And they have no stake in the game. They're not going to lose any money. And they're not sitting around being concerned with, oh, if I give Dana bad advice, this is not going to end well. Or she's going to make a decision based on something that I told her. I'm all for people that make mistakes, but the mistake shouldn't be something that's going to cost me. It has to be something that's going to cost you as well. And the other thing, when I'm dealing with, and I've only dealt with one, when dealing with a hard money lender, they will not deal with a person. They will deal with a business entity. So definitely recommend, if this is something that you want to do, you want to do it for as a business entity as opposed to a person, because as Damon had talked about before, you don't want to risk the liability to spill over into your personal assets. That's what you don't want to do. And so, and I think I talked about this before, you want to make sure that you're adequately insured, because there's nothing worse than not, so if there's something that's bad, that if something bad happens and you don't have the insurance when you very well could. And I know you didn't ask us about rentals, but one of the things that I've learned was that there was such a thing as insurance, and it looks like it was similar to PMI, whereas if for some reason the person couldn't pay the rent, that insurance would kick in. And that was something that I did not know that could be done. And I thought that was very invaluable. So if you're going to get property that you're going to hold, and I have not been there yet. I mean, I've been a landlord before, but this is my first time doing it as an investor, that you want to make sure that you have someone in there that you've done your due diligence and you vetted them properly, because that property still belongs to you, the investor. And if you want a decent cash flow, you're going to have to make sure that you do these things. And so that's me.
Okay, sounds good. Well, everybody, I want to thank you all for coming in. Do we have any? Let me thank our moderators.
We do have some questions in the chat.
Okay, that's what I was about to say. If we have any questions, can we go ahead and start?
Okay, there's a question about foreclosures.
Okay.
I'll take
Damon?
it, man. So foreclosures, as far as on the real estate side, looking at it from a realtor point of view, when going to buy foreclosures, sometimes they are difficult to deal with because you're dealing with banks. At that time, when you're trying to buy a foreclosure, you're dealing with the banks, and a lot of times they aren't going to negotiate. They want what they want, and that's pretty much it. Because banks just want to get their money back, break even, and pretty much move on from that property. So some foreclosures are okay and they're easy, but then some of them, when they have issues in the house, banks are not going to repair anything. They're not going to fix anything. I would say some. But 9 times out of 10, they're not going to do anything else to the property. They just want to break even and move on from that property. So foreclosures are, I'm not going to say difficult, but they are different to work with. Pretty much I got a lot of stories of foreclosures, but we won't get into that. I'll just say they're different to work with, but going in, have the mindset of you're dealing with a bank. I'll put it that way. I'll just leave it that way. You're not dealing with the person, you're dealing with the bank.
Okay. Dana?
My third property was a foreclosure. And like I said, I've been very blessed that they took very good care of the property for the most part. And so the house was not vacant for too long, so that the house didn't need a lot of work. So whether I was going to do the renovation and turn around and sell it, or do the renovation and then go ahead and rent it, that made it easier for me when it wasn't something that needed work of the things that I could not see. So even whether, like I said, if I'm selling it, they're going to get inspected. If I'm renting it, then if I'm going to rent it to someone that's Section 8 or the way those, or anyone else, the laws in my state, in my county, require that I do specific things to make sure that the property is safe. One of the things I think they had like bars on the windows and stuff. So the bars had to be removed because it became a safety issue. So there's certain things that you have to know. Now, as far as foreclosure is concerned, and Damon could probably answer this, I think that would lean more toward an investor as opposed to someone that's going to buy it for personal use, unless they're going to use cash. Because usually FHA and VA, they require pretty much move-in ready. Or did I miss that?
No, that's correct.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. FHA, VA, they want their house to be pretty much move-in ready, minimal amount of repairs as possible. And 9 times out of 10, those repairs are going to have to be done before you close on it. And then they're going to, once that seller says, okay, the repairs are done, they're going to send another appraiser back out or an inspector back out to inspect their property and give that VA underwriter a thumbs up, say, okay, yes, this stuff has been done.
Okay, we have another question. I guess the question is, I guess the contract that's written, is it different for an investor?
Are
For
we
me,
talking as far as buying? Oh, go ahead.
yeah, I think it's buying. And I said the only thing I could think of is if you're buying the property and it's not going to be your primary residence, that's something that may need to be documented on the contract. But I think it's pretty much the same. Now, if you're an investor and you have to sign your contract a certain way, like my contracts are not signed by my name, it's the name of the business entity. And because I have a limited partnership, I'm a limited partnership, and the general partner is the LLC. So I have to sign the contract that way because the deed and the title have to be that way. It has to be properly done that way. So for an investor, you have to make sure that one, you're in good standing. As a regular person, you don't have to be in good standing. And what I mean by that, in the state of Maryland, you have to do certain things every year. If you're not in good standing, you cannot sign contracts. And so when you go into closing, that is, you may not be in good standing when you're signing the contract, but you better be in good standing when you're there to go to closing. So I think those are the only two things off the top of my head that would be different from a regular person to an investor. So I'll turn it over to Damon.
No, you're absolutely right. Like you said, the way the contract is signed, depending on who's the primary signer on different on that paperwork for that investor, is he signed as an LLC? But they're pretty much the same. They are the same whether if you're buying as an investor or yourself as a primary residence. It's no different. The use is something that the seller has nothing to do with. They don't need to know what you're using it for, if you're going to flip it or anything like that. That's pretty much none of the seller's business. That's pretty much between that buyer and the lender. That's between them. But as far as the seller, all they know is they're selling to a LLC or a person.
Oh, and then you reminded me of something else. Whenever you're buying or selling as a business entity, now the title company and probably your real estate agent should already have this. But if you have any documentation, and forgive me, I don't know off the top of my head what it's called, but if you have the partnership agreement or you have something for your state that actually talks about that, because Damon had said it's none of the buyer's business, it's none of the seller's business what you're going to use the property for. However, if you're buying it under the LLC and you have specific things that LLC can and cannot do, the title company or whoever is going to make sure that that lines up with what you're doing. So if you're, for example, mine talks about I am formed to buy and sell properties in the opportunity zone or in support of the opportunity zone. So if my LLC or limited partnership is outside of that, then you might have a problem with the contract. And that's different than a person. So I think those are the only things I can think of that are different. And that's probably one of the reasons why the hard money lenders, they don't deal with an individual person. They deal with business entities like LLCs and partnerships and those types of things. And that kind of makes sense.
Okay. Are there any more questions on the board?
I do not see any.
Okay. Well, I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight, for listening in. I hope it was beneficial to you. You can always relook at the videos and put comments on it, and someone will try to respond to you. We thank you again. And to the moderators, thank you for all you do. For the team, NexGen, Holland Home Team, Robinson and Associates. Thank you all. Have a good night.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Good night.